Live from KSAT12, the 6 o'clock news starts right now.
And I came on around with my sons, and the flames were coming out this side window, and I went over and grabbed the hose and just started putting it out. That's hosing down the top of it.
That guy's the definition of a helpful neighbor. Candles getting the blame for a house fire on the city's south side this evening. Firefighters called to the 1400 block of Crystal a little before 4:30. Crews found an active fire when they reached the home. They went on the offensive, but before they got there, that neighbor you just heard from saw what was going on, grabbed a hose and moved into action. They say he helped keep that fire from spreading and doing any more damage. The people who live in the home say they were burning candles but had left them unattended. No injuries reported. Estimate damage about $4,000. Scanner traffic happened about 4:25 this afternoon, exactly when this call came in.
He's just about a decade away from completing a 30-year sentence for an ambush that killed 3 members of law enforcement in Atascosa County.
And while Kenneth Wadahosky is up for parole in just a few months, the Atascosa County Sheriff is doing what he can to make sure he serves his maximum sentence.
Devin Clark explains why and what the sheriff wants from the public to make sure that sentence is served.
On the evening of October 12th, 1999, a guy called in a bogus 911 call.
Back then, Atascosa County Sheriff David Soward worked as a chief deputy. He scheduled the responding deputies to work that fateful night.
Deputy Sheriff responded, Thomas Monsey, and he drove up to the mobile home, and they had been there the evening before and actually arrested a guy for domestic violence.
The guy Soward is referring to was named Jeremiah Engleton. Upset about his arrest, Soward says Engleton, along with the help of his friend Kenneth Wadahosky, lured officers to his home and carried out an ambush attack, killing Monsey and Deputy Sheriff Mark Stevenson, who arrived moments later. A DPS trooper named Terry Miller, who responded after that, was also killed. During a subsequent standoff, Engleton killed himself, but Wadahosky, who Soward believes also fired rounds at the deputies, had vanished by then.
We have another witness that saw Wadahosky's car there, which would have been around the time of the shooting, and that he had apparently left after the shooting and before the trooper arrived.
Wadahosky was later caught and took a plea deal, sentenced to 30 years for 2 counts of attempted capital murder and 1 count of murder. This March, he's up for parole. Soward hoping to prevent his release.
It gives justice to the family and to the community. And it just makes sense. Nobody wants to see him out.
A form letter to keep Wadahosky behind bars, started by the Atascosa Sheriff's Office just over 24 hours ago, has already garnered more than 200 signatures. The sheriff, of course, hoping to get even more. To find out how you can join in on the efforts, just visit KSAT.com. Reporting in Atascosa County, Devin Clark, KSAT 12 News.
Again, Wadahosky is eligible for parole this March, but his sentence is scheduled to end in October of 2029.
Squeezed out, emphasizing a focus on the bottom line. Lime announcing today it is pulling its scooters out of San Antonio and 11 other markets worldwide. The announcement comes less than a month after the company was approved for one of 3 exclusive scooter contracts with the city of San Antonio. And just days before those contracts would take effect on January 12th. Garrett Berger talked to a tech insider about what led up to Lime's decision.
It's not happy news. As the CEO of TechBlock, David Hurd is one of the biggest cheerleaders for technology and innovation in San Antonio. But there's not much to cheer today. So other cities in Texas where they operate right now will still have Lime, apparently, at least for now. But San Antonio is off the list. Scooter company Lime says it's focused on profitability, and fewer riders and higher fees made it too expensive to operate here.
The Lime scooters can still be found around town, but who knows for how long. The exclusive contracts are supposed to start in just a few days.
When the council approved Lime, Bird, and Razor in December for those exclusive contracts, the negotiations apparently weren't finished. Though he wasn't directly involved in them, Hurd said he was privy to some details. I think it really came down to the revenue sharing plan, how much money and how much of it up front was required by the city, and some of the data sharing components to the contract. I think it's unfortunate because my understanding is the city and Lime are very close. Hurd said there may have been something else driving Lime's decision corporately. And he thinks it's not just on the city.
I think some of it is also tied to just churn in the market as these young tech companies are figuring out what makes sense for them and what doesn't.
The city said it will proceed with contracts with Bird and Razor. And despite Lime leaving the market, the two remaining companies will still only be permitted up to 1,000 vehicles each as planned, though the city left the door open to more scooters.
It looks like we're down to 2 from the 3 selected. I hope they stick in there. I hope they stay. We'll see how it develops.
Garrett Berger, KSAT 12 News.
We also asked the city about Hurd's comments regarding negotiations. A spokesperson sent a statement saying, quote, Lime's decision to withdraw from San Antonio made in conjunction with its decision to withdraw from 11 other national and international markets. It was not made as a result of contract negotiations with the city of San Antonio, end quote.
A former substitute teacher at Antonian High School has pleaded guilty to taking unauthorized pictures of female students. They're called upskirting photographs. 32-year-old Lauro Ruiz was facing obscenity charges for taking pictures of students while working as a substitute and a coach in the spring of 2014. According to court records, Ruiz would place his cell phone on top of his backpack next to his desk. He would call female students up to his desk and position them so he could record images under their skirts. During a sentencing hearing, prosecutors said that Ruiz violated a sacred trust by taking advantage of those students.
What he did was take advantage of that privilege and that authority and use it for his own sort of gratification.
Ruiz's attorney said his client was, quote, ashamed, remorseful, and sorry for his behavior, end quote. As part of a plea agreement, Ruiz was sentenced to 2 years in state jail. Judge Jefferson Moore suspended that sentence and placed Ruiz on 5 years probation.
New at 6, a Via Transit police officer off the job after he was arrested in connection with an assault in a home on the city's north side. According to San Antonio police, 34-year-old Joe Garcia arrested yesterday afternoon in the 700 block of West Ridgewood Court. The charge, assault causing bodily injury to a family member. Via tells us Garcia was suspended after getting word of the arrest. We're told he was not on duty at the time of the alleged assault. Garcia was released after posting $3,500 bond.
And San Antonio police looking for some help from their Facebook followers, identifying some burglary suspects who targeted a convenience store on the east side. This happened last month at the Circle K in the 1900 block of South New Braunfels. Not the best pictures here, but here's what we know. Several people trying to hide their identities with hoodies and scarves, and they ransacked that store. You can see pictures of them at the register. If you have any information that can help police catch up with these suspects, call SAPD's East Side Property Crimes Division. That number's 210-207-7642.
We've learned the name of the man shot and killed earlier this week at an apartment complex on the city's northwest side. According to the Bexar County Medical Examiner, he was 30-year-old Anthony Sanks. Sanks was shot and killed Tuesday in the 8800 block of Cinnamon Creek near the medical center. According to police, they found Sanks with several gunshot wounds. He died at the scene. Investigators still trying to determine what happened that led up to the gunfire. So far, no arrests have been reported.
Take a look at traffic out there right now. Time saver traffic. The TransGuide camera here at I-10 in Woodstone. You can see a couple vehicles there on the side of the road. Looks like a tow truck as well. Some of those cars with flashing lights. Doesn't seem to be slowing down traffic too much as it comes around that curve, but something to be aware of if you're headed in that direction. Future politicians, delegates, global leaders. That's the goal for some of the students who are part of Model United Nations San Antonio. The group hosting several hundred students from across North America today and tomorrow at Trinity University for a conference on global issues. Sarah Acosta spoke with some of the students about the tensions between Iran and the U.S., one of the pressing topics at today's event.
It is a historical crisis.
Maya Mackey, a junior at the International School of Americas, has researched the pressing conflict in the Middle East. She says people listening and having open-minded conversations are more important than ever.
A lot of the issues that we're seeing today is really because there's a disconnect and there's an unwillingness to engage in a conversation. And I think that conversation needs to happen, which is why MUNSA and MUN is so important.
That's the goal of the 24th MUNSA Model United Nations San Antonio. The event hosted by NEISD's International School of Americas at Trinity University. 1,000 students across San Antonio, Texas, the U.S., and even Mexico are going to be gathering right here at Trinity University over the next 2 days to delegate and debate global issues. Each student from every school represents a different country. Over the next 2 days, those delegates will be meeting new delegates to hear about world issues.
It is their responsibility to fully represent that country, not their personal views, but the views of the country, and then work with all the other country delegates in their room to form a solution.
At the opening of the event, students were addressed by the keynote speaker, Dr. Susan Siovoshi. She's a professor of international affairs at Trinity who spoke to students to give them insight into the situation in Iran.
This is a really big tool that we can use towards fighting ignorance in regards to situations in the Middle East and anywhere in the world.
Sarah Acosta, KSAT 12 News.
By the way, if the last delegate's name seems familiar, that is my daughter Tatum.
Ah,
Yeah.
we knew that.
Yes.
You wanted to hear what she
I
had
wanted
to
to
say.
hear it.
So,
I knew
you know,
Tatum was involved. And
I
wanted
didn't. You
to hear it.
demanded my daughter speak, so there you go.
Exactly. She made it. All right. Outside, it's very warm right now. You know, relative to this time of year, the average high is 62 degrees, and we were well above that. We were 79 earlier today. 73 right now. The dew point's up, higher humidity in the air. Very uneventful for the rest of the evening. I mean, we're looking at temperatures just gradually falling through the 60s. By midnight, about 66. So let's talk about our weather headlines. Warm again tomorrow, but don't get used to the warmth. Storms likely tomorrow afternoon with the cold front. That's going to clear things out for the weekend. More details and timing coming up.